Sultan Murad I, the fourth ruler of the Ottoman Empire, ascended to the throne in 1362 amidst a time of great change and expansion. The Ottoman Empire, under Murad's rule, had grown rapidly, but with that growth came a new set of challenges. As the empire expanded, it began to incorporate diverse territories and populations with varying cultural, political, and religious backgrounds. This diversity, while beneficial in terms of territorial power, also bred unrest and revolts within the empire. Murad's reign was marked by his relentless efforts to suppress these revolts, which often erupted in regions where local leaders or populations resisted Ottoman control. The Sultan recognized that for the empire to be stable, these uprisings had to be quelled with decisive force and careful strategy. He knew that an empire as large and diverse as the Ottomans could not survive without a strong, centralized power capable of maintaining order and loyalty across its far-reaching territories. One of Murad I's first major challenges came from the Balkans. Following the death of his father, Orhan I, in 1362, Murad inherited a rapidly expanding empire. His territory stretched across Anatolia and into parts of the Balkans, where local Christian and Slavic populations had only recently come under Ottoman rule. The combination of religious, cultural, and political tensions led to numerous revolts, with the local nobility seeking to regain their independence or align themselves with rival powers. Murad's immediate response to these challenges was to reinforce Ottoman military presence in the affected regions, but it was his ability to suppress uprisings with a combination of military strength and diplomatic strategy that set him apart as a ruler. In the early years of his reign, the Ottoman Empire faced multiple challenges in maintaining control over the newly acquired Balkan territories, and it was Murad's decisive actions that would ultimately bring peace to the empire. In order to maintain control over these regions, Murad implemented a policy of swift and severe repression. His forces, particularly the Janissaries, were deployed to crush any resistance. However, Murad was also a shrewd strategist who understood the value of diplomacy. Instead of relying solely on military might, he also worked to establish alliances with local rulers who had once been adversaries, consolidating the empire's hold over the Balkans. By doing so, Murad avoided prolonged conflict, ensuring the stability of the empire. Despite his military successes, Murad faced internal challenges from within the Ottoman leadership itself. Many of his own generals and officers, accustomed to a more decentralized system of power under his predecessors, were resistant to his reforms. They feared the growing power of the Sultan and the centralized control that Murad sought to implement. However, Murad remained resolute. He knew that the key to maintaining his authority lay in strengthening the central government and suppressing internal dissent before it could weaken the empire from within. Murad I's leadership was also characterized by his ability to manage and suppress revolts within the Anatolian region, where Turkish beys and tribal leaders frequently challenged Ottoman authority. These revolts, rooted in local power struggles, threatened the stability of Murad's rule. The Sultan's approach was methodical. He used both force and strategic marriages to bring rebellious beys into the fold. By offering them military support and privileges, Murad effectively co-opted potential enemies, ensuring loyalty through a combination of rewards and fear. Murad's ability to balance military action with diplomacy set a precedent for how the Ottoman Empire would respond to challenges. He was not simply a conqueror, but a ruler who understood that sustaining power required both brutal suppression and political astuteness. His leadership marked a pivotal moment in Ottoman history, laying the groundwork for the continued success of the empire in the centuries to come. Sultan Murad I's approach to suppressing revolts was not only marked by diplomatic skill, but also by his keen understanding of military tactics and strategy. He was a ruler who prioritized military discipline and innovation, ensuring that his forces were not just large in number, but also highly trained and capable of suppressing any threat to his rule. His success in putting down revolts within Ottoman-controlled territories was largely due to his command over military strategy and his ability to inspire loyalty within his army. Murad's military reforms were integral to his ability to maintain control over the growing empire. One of his first actions was to formalize and professionalize the Janissary Corps, the elite infantry force that had been used since the reign of his father, Orhan I. Institutionalizing the Janissaries through the Devshirme system, Murad ensured that the military was staffed with soldiers loyal directly to the Sultan, bypassing local allegiances that might otherwise challenge Ottoman authority. This professional force was instrumental in quelling revolts, as it allowed Murad to deploy a reliable and disciplined military response wherever needed. The Janissaries were not the only military force Murad relied on. The Sultan also bolstered the Ottoman cavalry, which had long been a core part of the empire's military strength. Murad understood that the cavalry was key to projecting power and maintaining control over vast territories. His cavalry units were skilled in both traditional warfare and the use of gunpowder weapons, such as cannons, which were slowly being integrated into Ottoman battle tactics. Murad's military campaigns in the Balkans provide the clearest example of his approach to suppression. The Battle of Kosovo in 1389 is one of the most significant battles during his reign and demonstrates both his military skill and his ruthlessness in dealing with revolts. The battle was fought against Prince Lazar of Serbia, who had been leading a resistance movement against Ottoman rule. Despite being outnumbered, Murad's forces were able to decisively defeat the Serbs, securing Ottoman control over the region. The victory at Kosovo was not just about military prowess. It was also a symbol of Murad's ability to command loyalty and discipline within his ranks. The Janissaries played a pivotal role in the battle, showing that Murad's reforms had transformed them into a formidable force. Murad's strategy at Kosovo was not just about overwhelming the enemy with sheer force, but about using military tactics that played to the strengths of his reorganized and professional army. However, Murad's suppression of revolts wasn't limited to foreign enemies. Internal threats within the empire, particularly from rebellious beys and tribal leaders in Anatolia, required a different approach. Murad often used a combination of military pressure and political negotiation to deal with local uprisings. By offering military support to local leaders in exchange for loyalty, Murad not only quelled revolts but also ensured that the empire remained unified under his rule. This policy of co-optation, where rebellious leaders were brought into the fold rather than destroyed, was a hallmark of Murad's strategy. While Murad I was ruthless in battle, he was also a shrewd tactician who understood the importance of intelligence and preparation. He set up military encampments in strategically important areas, allowing his army to move swiftly and efficiently throughout the empire when uprisings occurred. These encampments also acted as a means of asserting Ottoman control over key regions and ensuring that the Sultan's authority was felt across the empire. Murad also focused on maintaining the loyalty of his commanders and officers. He knew that military success was not just about the size of the army, but about how effectively it was led. As such, he took steps to ensure that his commanders were not only skilled in battle, but also loyal to him personally. This was achieved through a combination of rewards, privileges, and military rank that reinforced their loyalty to the Sultan and the central government. One of Murad's most significant reforms was the establishment of a standing army, a military force that could be maintained during peacetime as well as in times of war. This was a departure from the previous practice of relying on irregular forces or levies raised only during times of conflict. With a standing army, Murad ensured that the Ottoman Empire was always ready to suppress internal revolts and face external threats. The creation of this permanent military force marked the beginning of a new era of Ottoman military power. Murad I's military reforms and strategies were not just about quelling revolts. They were also about consolidating Ottoman control over vast and diverse territories. His ability to suppress uprisings and maintain order throughout the empire ensured that the Ottoman state remained stable during a time of rapid expansion. Murad's focus on creating a professional army, improving military tactics, and ensuring loyalty within the ranks allowed the Ottomans to continue their conquest of new lands, setting the stage for the empire's dominance in the centuries to come. Sultan Murad I's reign was characterized by an unyielding approach to suppressing revolts, not just within the empire's borders but across its vast territories. His leadership left an indelible mark on the Ottoman Empire, with his military and administrative strategies ensuring the empire's stability long after his death. While Murad's successes in quelling revolts are often celebrated, his methods also paved the way for new challenges that would confront the empire in the future. The aftermath of the suppression of uprisings under Murad I was felt across the Ottoman Empire. His military campaigns, particularly in the Balkans, had brought a large swath of land under Ottoman control. But these victories were not without consequence. The empire's success in maintaining dominance was a double-edged sword. Murad's strategy of military suppression, though effective in the short term, created a culture of fear among the local populations, particularly in regions that had resisted Ottoman rule. As Murad's army pressed forward with their brutal tactics, many of the conquered peoples harbored deep resentment towards the empire, and this resentment would later manifest in further revolts and unrest, especially after Murad's death. Despite the simmering discontent in some regions, Murad's legacy as a reformer and military strategist was clear. His professionalization of the military and reforms in administration had built the foundation for an Ottoman state that could withstand internal challenges. Murad's policies ensured that his successors inherited an empire with strong military capabilities, a centralized administration, and a reliable system for dealing with local resistance. His reforms marked the transition of the Ottoman Empire from a collection of tribal forces to a centralized, professional empire with a focus on state control over military and civilian affairs. However, the manner in which Murad dealt with rebellions also left a complicated legacy. The Ottomans relied heavily on their Janissaries, a professional military corps created through the Devshirme system to suppress uprisings. While this elite infantry played a central role in maintaining Ottoman authority, it was also an institution that came with its own problems. Over time, the Janissaries became more powerful and influential, often acting independently and challenging the authority of later sultans. While Murad's use of the Janissaries to suppress revolts solidified his immediate control, it would eventually lead to tensions within the empire, especially as the corps became more politically engaged. In addition to military tensions, Murad's approach to governance also created friction with the local nobility and rulers of conquered territories. By centralizing power and diminishing the autonomy of regional rulers, Murad set a precedent that would be continued by his successors. His method of suppression, while effective, weakened the traditional power structures that had existed within Ottoman-controlled territories, leading to dissatisfaction among local elites. As a result, later rulers would have to contend with a balancing act between maintaining central authority and managing local dissent. The impact of Murad's suppression of revolts was also felt in the empire's legal and social structures. His reign brought about a more centralized legal system, which replaced the local laws of the various territories with a uniform set of imperial laws. While this strengthened the Sultan's control, it also alienated many local leaders who had previously governed their regions with a degree of autonomy. As the empire expanded, These local leaders, who had once been loyal to the Sultan, began to question their roles within the empire, and this led to increasing tensions in the years that followed. Yet, despite these growing tensions, Murad's suppression of revolts cannot be seen as solely negative. His reign ensured the stability of the empire, allowing the Ottomans to focus on territorial expansion and consolidating their power. His military reforms and centralized governance laid the groundwork for the continued success of the Ottoman Empire for centuries to come. The standing army he created, the professional Janissaries, and the uniformity of the legal system were all critical components of an empire that would last for over 600 years. Murad I's legacy was not only defined by his military successes, but by the way he laid the foundation for the political and social structures of the Ottoman Empire. The Sultan's ability to suppress uprisings and ensure control over conquered territories allowed the empire to grow and prosper. However, his centralization of power and the use of the Janissaries to enforce his will created long-term challenges for the empire. These challenges would eventually lead to the downfall of the Janissaries and the rise of corruption and internal struggles within the empire. After Murad I's death in 1389, his son, Bayezid I, inherited a strong empire. The work done by Murad ensured that the Ottomans could continue their expansionist policies and deal with internal revolts effectively. However, the tensions set in motion by Murad's reign would become more apparent in the years to come. Bayezid, though a formidable military leader, faced more significant internal challenges than his father, especially from the Janissaries and the local elites who had grown accustomed to greater autonomy. Despite these challenges, Murad's foundational reforms would ensure that the Ottoman Empire remained a powerful force in the region for centuries. In the end, Sultan Murad I's legacy as a military strategist and reformer was unquestionable. His ruthless suppression of revolts in the short term ensured the empire's stability, but the long-term consequences of his methods contributed to the challenges the Ottomans would face in the centuries to come. Nonetheless, his role in shaping the empire's military and administrative structure was crucial to its survival and success. His reign marked the beginning of the Ottoman Empire's golden age, and his ability to maintain control over vast and diverse territories set the stage for the empire's continued dominance.